Yes.
Your first scene in the sauna was recently unearthed, having been lost for many, many years. Did you watch it recently? Have you seen it recently?
I haven't.
What do you think?
I mean, I have seen it, and it's just pure misery for me to watch. This is really, I think, if not the first day, the second day's filming we shot a big sequence in a real sauna in a hotel in Manchester, when all the crew were in shorts and t-shirts. It was boiling hot. Craig was in a hot tub smoking cigars and looking at women muscle magazines, women who pump iron. And I had to come in and light his cigar with my finger. So I had a flame that came out of the end of my finger. And that was really all it was, very short scene. And so the temperature in the room would have been in the kind of about 40 degrees centigrade. The temperature inside my suit, say 190, 200 degrees centigrade. And when I collapsed in a corner, Paul Jackson, who I just mentioned, who is the man who suggested I do it, I think even he, I don't think, he's not a man who does embarrassment, but I think even he felt slightly anxious. And so we went through this horrendous sequence where I also got electrocuted when the electric spark went up because I was sweating so much underneath to light the finger, and I did think, what the hell have I done to say I was going to do the show? And then that sequence was never used anyway, as is often the case. And Craig it kind of typified the whole thing. Craig was just so happy to be sitting in a hot tub looking at muscular women smoking a cigar. I mean, he couldn't have had it better. And having booze and, just having a great time. And I wasn't having such good fun, but that was the first day. I think the very first day's filming was me pulling Danny across snow in the episode Marooned, and I was pulling his sledge and he was whipping me and shouting, "Bush, bush!" And we were walking into a huge fan, which is a big car engine with a massive propeller on the front to blow wind at us, and then they were tipping soap flakes into that to look like snow, and my eyes were glued open by the mask. It was the first day, so it was like going, oh my god, there's snowflakes going into my eyes, I can't blink, but I mustn't make a fuss. It was quintessentially Red Dwarf. It basically, from those first 2 days, it just got better. They'd have to garrote me to make it worse. Where's the microphone now? Oh, you're right there, because this young, he's remembered his question. Quick, run, because he'll forget. Don't forget the question now, because you'll hear you.
Who was the first Crichton? You know, the one on the maroon ship?
Yeah, it's an actor called David Ross. He's lovely, he's a very nice man. And sometimes, like, if you're an actor and you've done, and there's like been an actor that's done the same part that you have, and then a few years later you do it, usually that actor's kind of angry and bitter, and you've stolen their part, and they don't like you. But he was so happy that I was doing Crichton, because I think he'd done a few days as Crichton in a plastic suit with a rubber head on and gone, I don't think I want to do this anymore. So I don't think he was upset. And he was also the voice. He did the voice of Talkie Toaster. Remember Talkie Toaster? So that's David Ross. He did that voice. And when he came on to do that, I was slightly nervous because I thought, I don't know. I didn't know him. I hadn't met him. I thought he might be angry with me. But he was so nice. He went, I'm so glad you're doing this. But he's called David Ross. He's done lots of other things, and none of them I can remember at the moment. But
Green Grass.
Green Grass, and he was in an Alan Bleasdale series. He was brilliant in it as a teacher, as a headmaster, a few years ago. He was very good. He's a proper actor, not like me, he's a proper actor. He can remember his lines, he knows where he's meant to stand. Brilliant. Right next to you, Llewellyn.
Hiya. What was it like to be on Coronation Street doing Back to Earth on Coronation Street?
It was. I think it was probably weirder for Craig, because that's where he works all the time, and suddenly all his old dozy old mates come to see him. But it was quite bizarre. I mean, I think it would have been more of a thing for me if I had actually seen it before. I'd been on that set before, a long time ago, I think in the mid-80s, before I did Red Dwarf. And I was working up in Manchester, and someone said, "Oh, come and have a look at the street." They're not. So I glanced down it before, so I knew where it was. But it was amazing to be there. It was such an odd sight, and then particularly once we were all there in costume, it was really odd. And then I think I was more impressed with the interiors. The interior of the Rover's Return it's very like the TARDIS, because when you look at the outside of the Rover's train, it's quite small. And then you go into the set and it's just huge. So that was great fun though. We had a brilliant day there. It was really good. Hard work, but great fun. And it was very cold outside, which everyone else moaned about, but I love it when it's cold. And that was that temperature then, it was great. You got one right next to you there? Oh, there.
A few years ago, well, quite a few years ago now, you appeared in a single episode of Bottom. You were a Vietnam War vet. How did they approach you about? How did you learn the part, and what was it like working with Ed and Rick?
It was great fun. I mean, the connection there is Ed By, directed Bottom as well, so that was how I ended up in it. And I'm, in fact, I'm just in the middle of cutting the episode of, I don't want to keep plugging Carpool, but the episode of Carpool with Ade Edmondson in it. I'm doing Rick Mail quite soon. And he was very sweet about that, because that was one of their favourite eps, which I'm amazed at. But I think it was a very funny show. But it was wonderful fun, and I did hit Rick Mail quite hard. I didn't mean to. I just didn't quite, because he kept saying do it closer, 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 because it's when you do those sort of boom, 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 and he does that thing with his head. And it really, really hurts with your hand when you actually hit someone in the head with your hand. And he was really sweet about it. He wasn't cross, because I whacked him hard. I mean, it wasn't like a tap. I just caught him, as he was turning his head that way, I think I caught him that way. In a rehearsal, not when we were doing a take. So I was a bit nervous about that. But it was great fun, and he is, Rick Mail, I mean, they both are brilliant, but when Rick Mail undid my leg when I was asleep, and did his sort of, and he did say, as he knelt down in the rehearsal, he said, "Watch the master at work." And he puts his hand up and goes, he's got 3 levels of as he undid the straps. So he was brilliant. They were such fun. It was such a fun, because I was only in that one episode. It was really good fun to do. And what's brilliant is doing silly, you know, when you're a kid and you play at punching, you know, my brother and I used to do that, and we go, pow, all that stuff. When you do it on Bottom, they have this fantastic sound effects on a keyboard, and the guy's watching you then, he goes, he's got all the sounds on his keyboard, and he plays as you do it, so all those sound effects aren't pasted on afterwards, that's as we did it. So you hit somebody, and you hear this enormous noise. It was great. That was very silly adolescent stuff. At the back there? Can you see that? The man there? Yes. How easy is that to get to? Really easy.
I was wondering what it was like to the commentaries, because I think that's one of the best things about the DVDs. And also, does that affect like your enthusiasm to go back when you started to do Back to Earth? I think watched all the old ones.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I'm really glad you like them, because you know I feel we're such a bunch of bozos. You know, I sort of worry sometimes, because the very difficult thing was not keep saying when we did the commentaries for the whole series. Like when we saw series, you know, 1, 2, 3. I mean, I wasn't in 1 and 2, but 3, from sort of 3, 4, 5. We'd done them so long ago. All we kept saying was, "I don't remember this." This is not what you want to hear. God, did we do that? Was that me there? You know? So we had to be very careful. So I watched them all before we went in after that. After the first one, I think when we did series 3, I just couldn't believe what was on it, because I hadn't seen it for years. So I watched all the others, so that at least I wasn't constantly going, "Oh, no, remember." But no, I mean, it was an absolute delight to watch them. I mean, it is odd that I think they do stand the test of time. I mean, you think that from my involvement was in 1989, so it is 20 years ago since I first started on the show. And I don't think that show somehow isn't dated. And yet everything, if you watched another TV show from 1989, you go, "Oh my God, look at even if it was only, look at the size of his mobile phone, which would have been, hi there, yes." You know, that big, the big aerial, you know. I mean, if you think, and somehow Red Dwarf kind of lives in its own universe and it doesn't seem to matter. I don't know, it is extraordinary. But no, I mean, we really do enjoy doing them. And doing the commentaries for Back to Earth this year was just a delight, because we could remember, even we could remember what we'd been doing a few months before. So that made it a lot easier. I'm very pleased to hear that you enjoy them, because you know, sometimes we do feel we just waffle on. And you know, somehow Craig just makes me laugh so much. So he's just sitting there. Well, except there was one we did where Craig wasn't there. Did didn't show up, man. You know, I couldn't quite make it. So we were doing really bad. Well, Chris doing a brilliant Craig impression, and me doing a really bad one. So we tried to fake and pretend he was really there. Which I don't think we got away with. Was the microphone gone that way?